Hi, my name is Kelby Robbins. I am a senior at Stephen F. Austin State University, and my major is Human Development and Family Studies. When I graduate, I plan to be a kindergarten teacher. Actually, this year I'm going to be a kindergarten aide for the first time, so I'm super excited. I have, been around children for a very long time. I am the oldest in my family, so I love children. I've always been around them. I was a nanny for a very long time. I worked in daycare, so my passion for children is very strong. I come from a long line of teachers, so that's just kind of what I grew up around and what I want my career to be. So today we're going to be talking about childhood injuries, which is a very sad topic, but needs to be discussed because not a lot of people really understand that injuries is a huge reason for death in children. We're going to be talking about 3 different topics. The first one is going to be birth to 2 years old. And then after that, we're going to talk about 2 to 5 year olds and then school age children. Those 3 ages are very important. That's the stepping style, into growing and becoming older and things like that. So first, we're going to talk about birth to 2 years old. Injury is the 6th leading cause in death for children under the age of 1. And that number is very high and very sad. And I think, a lot of people need to do some research on it and understand why. More than 1,000 infants die a year in injuries, which is a very, very high number. But the main leading cause in that is going to be suffocation. That is the highest injury rate for children to die in that age range is suffocation. And I think the main reason that could possibly be, after doing some research and reading a few articles, not a lot of people understand that they are babies. They are infants and they're very fragile. They don't need blankets around their faces when they sleep. Even when they're awake, they can't breathe like we can. So that is just the number one thing. They're completely dependent on caregivers at that time. So in reality, we are responsible for them. And honestly, as a parent, you're responsible for children all the way up until, whatever. But for infants, they're independent, they're dependent on us. We are the way they learn how to live and things like that. Most of the injuries in that category for infants, birth to 2 years old, are unintentional. So they're not on purpose. People aren't purposely doing, harmful things. But at the end of the day, there are things that we need to really open our eyes about as new parents or things like that. And there are parenting classes that you can take. There are books you can read. There are all kinds of different studies and stuff like that that will really help you understand the certain things you should and shouldn't do with children that young. Another common injury thing for children that young are falls. And that is a frequent cause of death as well. At that age, from birth to 2 years old, their head is not developed. They're, everyone always, if you've been around children, the soft spot of the head, it's very fragile. And so if a little baby falls off the couch, it could be life or death, literally. Head injuries are due to the soft spot of the head, as well as the brain is not fully developed. So there's still a lot of room up there for the brain to move back and forth. Those 2, suffocation and head injuries, are just really the top 2 that are really dangerous for children that young and the leading cost of death from, birth to 2 years old. So now let's move into children from 2 to 5 years old. Risk for injury in children's 5 and younger is very high. That is, just kind of a known thing if you've been around in children. If not, then you can do some research about it. The overall rate increasing during these years due to children becoming more mobile and physically capable. So therefore, the children are starting to learn how to walk, crawl, and if you've been around children, once they reach 2 or 3, they're running around trying to jump on things like that. That's another risk for injury. Children trying to jump off the couch, or even learning to jump on a trampoline. You can break your leg, things like that. Their body doesn't really know how to stop. They're always in go, 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 go. So you have to make sure that you're really watching those type of children, that age range, because they don't know wrong from right. They don't know that it's not okay to jump off the couch where you could easily fall and hit your head. There's another thing for injury. or you could break your leg, your arm, anything like that can be really crucial to that age frame, as well as climbing on things. And, like I just mentioned, climbing on couches. But another huge thing that I don't think people always understand from the age of 2 to 5 is they're becoming more curious. So a huge thing for injury rate is getting into like poisonous substances such as alcohol, drugs. And I know that sounds crazy, like, oh, little children getting into alcohol. But if you have a case of alcohol on the table or in a cup and a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old is walking around, yeah, they're probably going to pick it up and take a drink out of it. And if you're not watching them, they're going to keep drinking it, which is never going to be good. And there could be, a thing for brain injury or some sort like that. So I did a few little different researches on, these type of things. And I wanted to give you a perspective of things that are common and not, that you wouldn't think. So for fires and burns, the average rate for injuries average age, is toddlers and school age. So a lot of toddlers and school age children become in contact with burns. So that's fire burns, chemical burns, anything like that. Playing with fire, anything dangerous like that. Poisoning is a big one with toddlers. If you're giving them too much medication, things like that, you can poison their body. They're still very young. Suffocation, we talked about that with the birth children, or birth to 2 years old. Suffocation is a huge one for infants. And the last one I researched was drowning. And that is very scary and happens a lot with children. And the main ages that ranges from is toddlers to school age children. So if you have a pool or any type of body of water nearby, make sure from a very young age you teach your children, like, you do not get in there unless someone is watching you. A lot of people these days are starting to gate off their pools or ponds or anything like that. And I think that is, a major crucial thing to do with children that age, because they don't always understand that you can't go get in there when mommy and daddy aren't watching. So the last thing we're going to talk about, our last age range we're going to talk about, is school age children. So that's anybody that's in kindergarten, middle school, high school, anything like that. The most common injuries for this age range children is car crashes and fires. So, once you reach high school, you start driving. So there's, you have new drivers, things like that. So that is a very common injury for that age range, as well as fires and burns. And with the fires and burns, that goes as well as having a bonfire, having your candle lit in your room, anything like that goes under the category of fires, obviously. But the main thing I can think as like a parent and things to teach your children is always make sure your child knows those things are not toys. A car is not a toy, a candle and things like that. Those are very serious items that can seriously harm you, life or death. Set safety rules with your children. The older they get, make sure they know right from wrong. As soon as you get into a moving vehicle at any time, put a seatbelt on. That will save your life. There are so many car crashes with young children in, the ages of 14 to 16, 18 area that die in a car wreck due to not wearing a seatbelt. So those are the 3 topics we're going to discuss today. Or one topic, 3 age ranges that we're going to discuss today. And I hope that y'all took that information and really use it, and maybe it might interest you to research some other things. So thank you guys.